Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from Am I the A-Hole? Story 1 is by Zesty Close Salad 252. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she was lazy for banning Playdates? I'm a 40 male. I was on the phone with my sister who's 35. I'm child-free by choice. She has 2 daughters, 12 and 4. She was venting to me about how Playdates were getting to be a pain in the butt because 4-year-old wants in on Big Sister's Playdates and she can't stand the whining and crying that ensues when 4-year-old doesn't get to play with them. Obviously, Big Sister understandably wants time alone with her friends. My sister thinks her older daughter and her friends getting a break during little sister's nap time is enough and she should let her play with them the rest of the time because she feels she shouldn't have to referee. She told me she informed her eldest that Playdates are banned until she and her sister can work it out because she's sick of the fighting and she's older and shouldn't be arguing with a 4-year-old. I told her this, quote, solution is leaving her at the mercy of a 4-year-old because 4-year-old can't reason and is unable to see past their own wants. So the 12-year-old's solution is to give little sister her way or not see her friends, and that's bullcrap, and I told her so. I said a playdate is supposed to be an experience for your child, not a break for the parent, and called her lazy and that it's her job as a parent to teach her 4-year-old boundaries, not her 12-year-old's to work it out. She said I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm not a parent and I shouldn't judge her. Am I the a-hole because I'm a clueless, child-free man? Is there something I'm missing here? I know she's overwhelmed, but I feel this is more her job than the 12-year-old's. This is 100% her job as a parent. She needs to tell her 4-year-old, no, you don't get to play with them, and stop whining about it. And if I hear you whining about it, you're going to lose these privileges. She'll stop real soon when she sees consequences for her actions. She doesn't get strawberries on her pancakes in the morning. That's because she whined about how she doesn't get to play with the 12-year-old girls. 4 and 12 is a big range. If there's days where the 12-year-old wants her to come play with her, that's fine. If there's days where the 4-year-old wants her to come play with her, that's fine. And they play together all the time, I'm sure, at home. But when they have friends over, she doesn't have to go with them all the time. And your sister here, the mother of the girls, she's basically looking to put the parenting on them instead. You do the thing that I can't do. You work it out. No, you work it out. You're the parent. Give the little one consequences. If she whines about it, tough. Down in the comments by No Mathematician 2482. Not the a-hole. In no world ever should a 12-year-old have to accommodate a 4-year-old when they want to hang out with their friends. Calling it a play date at 12 is also very strange to me. I am a mother of 6 kids. I never expected my older kids to stop their life to deal with the younger kids. Under that by I Dream in Words. Sounds like mom just wants big sister to babysit little sister. I agree with that right there. That seems pretty obvious in this, honestly. The next comment underneath this is longer than the actual story, and I think that's the first time that I've seen a response to a story that's longer than the actual story. Under that by Stabby77, and I'll write their name at the top too, since this is such a long one. This. I've never liked children, and for some reason never had a problem with making myself very vocal on that point, even when I was a kid myself. When I was young, my cousin used to constantly get shunted with watching her mom's friend's daughter every time they would come visit, because the adults wanted to chat and smoke and drink without any of the kids around, and she was too young to be unsupervised. They tried to do that once when I was there, have us both watch her, and I basically told my mom in absolutely no way, shape, or form was I watching her kid and letting her follow me around all day. She was also a spoiled brat that I never liked nor got along with, which made it even worse. Luckily, my mom took one look at my face and knew I wasn't joking. I would have left her standing on the front lawn and taken off to the woods to climb a tree or just walk through the forest, and she knew it. My cousin ended up having to watch her again. I don't know if it's growing up in a small town or growing up in low-income houses that was almost exclusively single mothers with children, but it was far too common that any time parents got together, the kids would be told basically, go play, because the entire thing was just a reason for the moms to get a break from their kids. I honestly couldn't care less when I was young. I spent my childhood pretty much in the woods looking for animals, but there was no way I was going to allow a tag-along, especially one young enough that I would not be able to do anything I actually enjoy. If you want me out of your face, that's fine, but don't think that means you can use me as free labor because you're frustrated by your own children, but would rather spend money on smokes and booze than pay for a babysitter for a couple hours. The other version of this I saw a lot growing up was older sister and brothers being shafted with looking after their younger siblings all the time. I understand in the past when birth control was not a thing how something like that would be necessary, but it actually irritates me to no end when I see people continue to have children they don't have time to take care of because they just thrust them onto the older children and effectively usurp their childhoods. A lot of the girls I know in my child-free groups don't want kids because they feel like they've already had them, because they were forced to basically raise their younger siblings. It's one thing if your children volunteer, or you offer to pay them and they agree, but it's another thing to force them. You're only going to build resentment between the two children as well as between the older child and yourself. Not the a-hole. She is being selfish because she wants to give herself personal time by taking away someone else's. If she needs time away from her kids, she can find another way to do it. You don't effectively punish your child for wanting her own age-appropriate playtime and socialization with their friends. You don't punish anybody by taking away something from them that's healthy for them, that's good for them. Socialization and playtime are necessary to building a stable adult. Our next story today is by the Cupcake 4847. Am I the a-hole for refusing to call for pizza and telling my daughter if she wants pizza, she can call the place? My daughter is 15 and stays home by herself sometimes. We have a money fund for these days so she can order some food if she doesn't want to make herself dinner. Really simple. My daughter has anxiety and doesn't need meds according to her doctors. She was on the lowest dose and it was way too much for her. Really, we work on confidence boosting with a counselor. Yesterday, my wife and I were not home. My daughter wanted to order some pizza. The place she wanted pizza from only does phone calls for orders. She texted me and asked me to call the place and make an order. I told her no and she can call them herself. That money is on the table or she can make a sandwich for dinner. I came home and my wife and daughter were pissed that I didn't make the call for her. My daughter's anxiety made it difficult for her to call. My wife is upset that I don't help. I think both of them are being over the top. I explained that there was food at home. She could have ordered from somewhere else or just ate at home. They both think I'm the jerk, and I told her she needs to make a phone call or she is going to run into many roadblocks. I also pointed out that not everyone has online ordering. So, at what age is it appropriate for you to tell her, hey, you need to order your own food? Yes, you have anxiety. If you so badly don't want to call them, order from some other place that has online ordering or just make food at home. Your wife is not teaching her problem solving right now. It's a problem that she doesn't have the food she wants right now. But she's made this, you are the problem here in your wife's and your daughter's eyes, not the fact that she can't make a phone call. Just imagine if she becomes 30 years old someday, still has crippling anxiety, which I understand. When people have that, it sucks. Just imagine she's 30 years old and she really wants to order from this place and she texts you to call them and order her some food. No, the problem is she has fear of making this phone call. Either do it or find a workaround for it. She needs to be the problem solver. She doesn't get to just vilify you with your wife. That's bad parenting on your wife's part. Down in the comments by Cronkla Sorta. Not the a-hole. No therapist worth their pay will tell someone with social anxieties to push any required interactions off to their partner or parent. This was a teachable moment and a chance to face her fears. It will only get worse if she continues to avoid it. That is, sometimes you sit here and you're like, how can I reply to this? What am I going to say? How do I word this? And sometimes I'll say something and it doesn't sound good and I cut it out, and I'll say something else and it doesn't sound good and I'll cut it out. And by the end of it, I'm like, okay, what I said is adequate. Why on earth can I say something perfect like that? That is absolutely perfect. And there's a reason this person got 15.9 thousand upvotes. Anxiety sucks. You either have to overcome it by making that phone call or find a way to not make that phone call. But you don't get to blame somebody else for your issue. However, I do feel like maybe your wife is a source of a lot of her anxiety. She feels like her parents are just going to do whatever for her all the time and take her side, like your wife does. She may be the source of a lot of your daughter's anxiety. Our next story today is by Winterblood3489. Am I the a-hole for wanting to take my biological kid to Disney and not including my bonus kids? I, 31, have a kid who's 2 with my boyfriend who's 31. He has previous kids from a previous relationship. They're 8 and 9 years old. I am the breadwinner due to him not being able to keep the good jobs. We lost our rental a couple months back due to his lack of financial responsibility. I did not know he wasn't making payments towards certain bills, therefore me paying for everything plus catch-up became too much. During these past couple months, we have been living with his parents, and our goal was to pay off our debt. Well, I've caught up on nearly $10,000 of debt, while he's been able to only pay off $500. I do give him grace knowing he doesn't make much money. However, I know he has no other payments than his phone and daycare. Therefore, paying a little extra towards debt should not be an issue. Anyway, this summer I really wanted to take a trip out to Disneyland. I told him about us going as a whole. He agreed. Well, as it gets closer, he's now saying we don't need to go. It's going to be too hot and too packed. The little one won't remember. The older kids aren't that into Disney anymore, which he tends to do this type of tactic when he realizes he can't financially do it. I have no issue doing 50-50, but that's the issue. He won't meet me halfway. He'd rather no one go. So my question is, would I be the a-hole if I decided to take a trip with just me and my bio kid? And him pay his way if he can afford it? I hate the situation, but I'm a firm believer in not letting my kid lose out on experiences if others aren't willing to do that for them. This is why I work so hard, so she will never miss out on anything, and I have everything she wants and needs. If you're still living with the parents and paying off debt, then yes, you're an a-hole for thinking of going on a trip to begin with, not just with your kid. Going on a vacation and trip that you guys can't afford right now. You live in his parents' home. They are incurring the burden of you guys living there at that home. You would be the a-hole if you decided to exclude them somehow. And your title in this makes it more about the kids. You don't like them for some reason. You don't see them as yours. And that's okay. You don't have to. You're his girlfriend. You're not his wife. You guys have a child together, but you're living at his parents' house. You going to take a vacation and spend all the money on this vacation with your kid is bad for them. You're not even thinking about them. But you refer to his 2 kids as bonus kids, and that's kind of rude. Down in the comments, by third try is the charm. Everyone sucks here. Quoting the OP, we lost a rental a couple months back due to his lack of financial responsibility. If you're not able to keep stable housing and have debt, you're not able to afford Disney for anyone right now. And kids are just kids. Don't treat any of them as bonus. Under that by KnowYou42. Agreed. You don't go on vacation when you're living with parents to pay off debt. Don't join him on the financial irresponsibility train. Send him off. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have a remarkable day.